All right, rock and roll. You're at your favorite place on this earth, scorched or not. The Scorched Earth Podcast for beautiful March 12th, 2025. And welcome, my friends. I'm a little pissed off today. Yeah, I'm going to be a little angry. Be careful. You may not want to come in here, but I know you. You're all brave. Us liberals, we're brave. You know, I was talking to a good friend tonight, and he's like, what's your goal? I go, hey, we're all in this together. And he goes, well, are you going to reach out to the Republicans? I'm like, F them, man. They got their own ecosystem. I don't need to deal with them. You know, this notion of we're going to be a one country, one loving God thing, I don't know if that exists. I wish it did. I sincerely do. And my friend, he is literally one of the best people I ever met in my life. You know, we are different ideologically, politically. He's a good person, but you know, he's the believer. That's what I call it. He does believe we're all going to come together, and maybe we do. Maybe I'm just too cynical. Maybe I'm too jaded about what I've seen in the last 10 years. And I hope I'm wrong. I really do. And there is plenty of times where I do admit I'm wrong. There's things that Trump does that are right. And when he does them, I'll tell you. No. All right. Welcome to the podcast. I got the headphones on. We're ready to rock and roll. I'm John. First off, hit that like and subscribe button. I noticed we're getting some more subscribers. I really appreciate it. There were some comments yesterday. Really, really wonderful. Thank you very much. I appreciate your support. It means a lot to me. We're all in this together. Like I said in my response, you know, we're just looking for a way out. You know, we're just trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure out how we can save democracy, how we can live in a better ecosystem. And I think that the only way to do that is opposition. I don't think we need to placate people. I don't think we need to lay down. And we're off and running. We're taking no prisoners, telling no lies. Lock in, kids, today, because I'm going to get a little pissed off. I'm going to start talking about goddamn Chuck Schumer. You know, he is out on his book tour. He's, you know, doesn't have enough money. Not enough going on, you know. He literally cut us off at the knees last week, agreeing to the stopgap spending bill by the Republicans in the House. And you know what? We're going to have a little clip here. Yeah, I know, huh? Yeah, let's see what we got here. Okay, be patient. I'm waiting.
Chuck Schumer's change of heart about the Republican spending bill, avoid government shutdown, but open him up to some harsh criticism and questions about his leadership from his own party. And here to tell us why he did it is Chuck Schumer. Thank you. Anti-Semitism in America, a warning. Please welcome Senator Chuck. Thank you. I'm just going to throw it out there. Why? What were you thinking and why?
Okay. So look, I knew it was a difficult choice, and I knew that I'd get a lot of criticism for my choice. But I felt as a leader I had to do it. Here's why.
The
CR bill was bad. No question. And it allowed a slush fund, which allowed money to be pushed around.
Explain it for the people who don't know what
There's
CR
CRB to continue the government spending. A shutdown, the alternative is cut off the government spending. Here's what would happen if we cut off government spending. It would be devastation like we have never seen.
Worse than we're seeing now?
Much. Here's why. That's why I did it. I wasn't going to take this flack just for having a lot of fun.
Yeah, right. Sure you weren't, jackass. Let's start with the Chuck Schumer is a goddamn idiot tour. Okay, hey, I'm the leader over here. Obviously, I'm not alone. Nancy Pelosi, that great, strong woman who led the House, especially in those tumultuous years of the first Trump term, jabbed at Schumer the other day in a speech in San Francisco. For some reason, I couldn't find that video. I have to get video of this effing idiot. She said, I don't give away anything for nothing. I think that's what happened the other day with Chuck. Yeah, no kidding. Now, let's understand what this cat is saying, okay? You know, with his little smile as he's pimping his book because he can't get his already fat, dollar-laden pockets even stuffed even more. because he's got to go rip us off and, anti-Semitism, and I'm going to go on a book tour. Yeah, F you, dude. So what he is saying is, and I want to be very clear here, is if he didn't agree, the government was going to shut down and people were going to get hurt. Yeah. Okay. Point well made. Okay? But let's go back in the archive. Hey, you don't only get a podcast here, you get great special effects. I really should just make a little stick figure, Simpson style, right? I ain't no Conan O'Brien, though, okay? So, let's go back in the time capsule when Chuck Schumer was in the Senate. He didn't just get there. He didn't just look like Father Time. He didn't look like he was an extra on the Jerry Springer show. He's like the creepy older uncle who's trying to rip off your trust fund or your will, right? Under Trump's first term, let's go back, the U.S. government did shut down. Oh, whoa, what? What you saying? What you saying, Johnny? What you saying? Yeah, the U.S. government shut down from December 22nd, 2018 until February 9th of 2019. 35 days. The largest government shutdown, longest ever. Okay? This shutdown was over Trump wanting $5.7 billion appropriated to build the wall. Now, the Democrats had the House at that point. They took over in January 5th of that year, of 2019. They said no. And then it was the pissing contest, right, between Pelosi, a real leader, and Trump. Trump was mad because he couldn't go to Mar-a-Lago for New Year's Eve. The optics would have been just too terrible. 9 executive departments and over 800,000 federal employees were furloughed, laid off, whatever you wanted to, as their departments were shut down. Okay? Chuck was there. Chuck was there. Okay? Now, the CBO estimated the shutdown cost the American economy over $11 billion in just that 35 days. Makes sense, just the money that goes through. Trump wanted funding. He didn't get it. Somebody stood up to him, and it obviously wasn't Chuck Schumer, because this guy is Trump's little cuckold, right? Trump's approval rating went down in that 35 days. It went down. The CBS News poll found 71% of Americans said it wasn't worth it, and 54% blamed Trump and the Republican Party for the shutdown. Remember this, approximately, whatever you want to say, 21 months later, the Democrats took the House, the Senate. They already had the House. They took the Senate, and they took the presidency. These polls matter. They know they matter. On February 15th, he backed down. Chuck's sitting here and saying, oh, no, he's going to be tough, and we're going to be in trouble. Jesus Christ, Chuck. Are you so goddamn senile you don't remember what happened 7 years ago? Weren't you there? I want to punch him in his face. Trump was going to give in here. Everything is going against him right now. This guy watches the polls more than any politician ever has. He is sensitive on sensitive. He is like the guy who goes to the beach and falls asleep and literally gets red on red on red. And then when he stands up, literally the wind hurts him. This guy is that sensitive. Trump was not going to win this fight. Well, he is when he has an opposition leader like stupid Chuck Schumer. Goddamn Chuck Schumer. Man, I'm telling you, AOC, you owe it to us, the people of your party, to primary this mofo. because this guy is feckle and he is an idiot on an idiot. He was there for the last big government shutdown, and Trump backed down. Duh. Also understand this. The Republicans aren't going to take the heat for too long. There's an election coming up in 20 months. Yeah, I know. Oh, John, that's a long way. No, let me tell you, they're already looking at it. They're already looking at it. Why do you think the Republicans are abandoning the town halls? They are not doing any more town halls because the blowback from the government layoffs is just too tough. I'm waiting for my idiot local congressman, Jay O'Blurntney, to have one so I can get in there with a camera. Oh, I'm going to rip that mofo. You know, Chuck, and let me give you a little lesson. I wish you could watch this. Maybe you'd open up your effing brain. This is the moment you stand up to him. You have a party. You told us we were on this for a year together, and now you leave us at the altar. We need somebody to stand up and say, no more. You had that power. You had that power. Hakeem Jeffries did a wonderful job coalescing everybody in Congress, but it wasn't enough. We don't have the numbers. You had it. You had it, you smug son of a bitch. It's a bad week for me to go off Xanax, isn't it? I guess in the next 4 years. To me, we're fighting for democracy. I ain't playing no games. Now, to me, this is like the climate change debate. Okay? And I bring this guy in, one of my best friends. His name is Brother Bill. I talked to him at the top of the podcast. And him and I have differing views on climate change. And Bill is a smart guy. He's very scientific. He's very, very well learned. And he said, look, John, and he's told me this a couple times. He said, look, John, he calls me Johnny. It's because of my youthful exterior. And he says, look, this has happened. This kind of global warming event has happened multiple times in the history of the world. And I said, you're absolutely right. But it was immediately followed by an almost mass extinction of humans. And he goes, well, yeah, that too. Because if you look at it, look, we got 7 billion people. If there was never any mass extinctions, we'd have, 100 billion people living here? Literally, when I go into downtown LA, that's how many people seem to be living there, but actually the numbers don't seem to correlate with that. Chuck, we're fighting for democracy. We may be wrong, but if we're right, we need you to stand up. And I know we're right. I know Trump is coming for it. Look, he won the election. He doesn't have another election. He's got 3 years. He doesn't care. He's just going. You want to talk about scorched earth here? He's doing scorched earth in the government. And you had a chance to, I'm looking at this guy smile. I want to punch him. I just want to punch the guy. Oh my God. Ugh. So then I watched the Rachel Maddow show. Okay. I love Rachel Maddow. Okay. She is just amazing on amazing. And you know what? I'm just doing all kinds of stuff. You just don't know. I got magic hands, right? Like Ricky Bobby. And she had 7 voters on there from Michigan, battleground state, who voted for Trump. And now it was a focus group. She didn't. I apologize. She was doing video from a focus group. And they all said, well, I don't like Trump now. And a couple of the comments was they said Trump never talked about laying off people and prices getting higher. No kidding. No kidding. Wow. He didn't talk about that, huh? And then they also said that he's going after his enemies. He's trying to be king. He did say that. He did say he was going to go after people with the Department of Justice. He said he felt he had been victimized, he had been targeted, which of course is such bullshit because, hey, they also went after Hunter Biden. They also went after Bob Menendez. Hello? They went after Eric Adams. Hello? Hello? They're Democrats. This just in. Mr. Sensitive on the beach. Next time, use sunscreen. Get a little tough. Where have these people been for the last 8 years? I mean, on any level. Do we not remember? This is the guy who drew the hurricane in Alabama. He got the Sharpie out, and he just drew it there because he kept saying the hurricane was going to go to Alabama, and it didn't. It bypassed, and he goes, no, I got a map here. Yeah, that's that guy. That guy hasn't changed, okay? Now, 90% of what he said in his first term, he didn't do, okay? But he's doing it now. Don't give me the, well, you know, he really didn't he didn't mean it. You know, he didn't mean that. He's not going to really go through it. He is. The guy's going through it. I'll give you an example. I love giving you examples. Makes me think I have a better life. I've done the Big Brother program for a long time. You know, it's literally one of the coolest things I've ever done. My little brother, not little, 35, 36. We've hung out for over 20 years. Cool dude. I always enjoy all my interactions with him. We've hung out like once a week for the entire period. Real blessing on a blessing. And he was a liberal, and now he's turned Republican. And I was asking him, you know, like what is this? And for some reason with the younger generation, 35 is the younger generation now, the woke thing for young white males, I guess, is a big thing. I just don't understand it. You know, he's lamented about, you know, this diversity in the movies. That's why, you know, Marvel isn't doing well and all that. And I said, you know, Marvel isn't doing well because the movies just suck. Look, it doesn't matter if somebody's black, white, Asian, or whatever. If the movie sucks, it's not. Morgan Freeman, who might be the best actor around, is not going to save it. It does not matter. Doesn't matter. Robert De Niro isn't going to save a bad movie. Believe me, he's my favorite actor of all time, but he's been in plenty of bad movies, right? So I asked him, you know, why are you voting Republican? And he, you know, he talked about, you know, he felt like the diversity was against him and whatever, you know, like white male privilege isn't enough. Okay. Yeah, let's get back to that. Let's get back to that stacked deck. And then he married. He was traveling around the world, and he married this beautiful Filipino lady, and they've had a child, and they had the child over there. And I asked him point blank, I said, well, aren't you worried that they won't be able to come here? And he goes, no. I go, well, Trump is talking about ending birthright citizenship, ending visa programs, things like that. And he goes, no, the Democrats will stop that. And I said to him, you're voting for a guy, but you're hoping the party you're voting against is going to stop the guy you're voting for on doing something that's going to impact your family. Like, explain that to me, and please don't ask me to repeat it because I couldn't do it. Not in a million years. I haven't had enough liquor. The moment is here, and Chuck failed. And I'm telling you right now, whoever runs against him, I'm not going to vote Republican, but I would never vote for him. That guy's just a piece of crap. He straight up is. And I am embarrassed that he's part of my party. And he goes on The View, and he talks to Whoopi, and, oh, we can't have a government. We have had a government shutdown with Trump. I just explained it to you. You were there. You saw it. You saw Trump back down. The only reason you didn't have to worry about it is because Pelosi took the bull by the horns. I almost said balls. That too. Believe me, she had that grip. She had that kung fu grip on Trump for a while. That lady stood up to him. Yeah, there's the difference. Pelosi standing up to Trump, and Schumer being that feeble human being that he is. All right, let's go on to the news. The Trump administration asked Russia for a 30-day frontline-wide ceasefire. All right, without conditions. Tuesday, they got a small prisoner swap with Russia. Throw them a bone, throw them some crumbs there, Putin. Throw them some crumbs. Then the Kremlin, via a press release, said a month-long mutual pause on attacks against enemy infrastructure. This is kind of cute. They said enemy infrastructure. Yeah. Trump and a spokesperson White House spokesperson Carolyn Leavitt said the agreement was energy and infrastructure. Seems like there's a little difference there. And we know Carolyn Leavitt is so intelligent she couldn't have misspoke, misunderstood, miscommunicated. It reminds me of the line in John Wick where he goes, "Is this just happenstance?" Like, yeah, what are we really talking about here? The Russians then, last night, began their incredibly ruthless and relentless aerial attack at night with the enemy drones. And I think I've talked about this in previous podcasts. What they do is they have the drones up there, and they literally hover over houses and buildings, and anything that comes out, they shoot, they kill. And then at night, when the night's over, they leave because they can easily be detected and shot out of the air, right? But it allows their troops to make incredible advances because they know where the drones are. They probably have the technology not to shoot their troops. Maybe they got some type of beacon, not to shoot their own guys, whatever it is. I don't know enough about the military, but that is how Russia's been able to make such advances in the last year, is because of this army of drones, right? So now they're starting to their attacks again on buildings and structures. Well, that doesn't seem to be what the Trump administration's talking about. They say energy and infrastructure. This just in, infrastructure is buildings, roads, bridges. That's infrastructure. Seems like we have a little misunderstanding there. Maybe we can get that worked out before they take over the other 80% of Ukraine, right? God damn. All right, odd things in the news. I drove into Los Angeles today, and I love Los Angeles. I love this town. And I love the cultural diversity. I love that we are so accepting of the LGBTQ community. I love that we treat as equals those who are different than us. That's what America should be. That's what America should strive for. Now it's becoming a little more inclusive, exclusive, I guess would be the better term, not inclusive. And I heard on one of my radio stations, it's called K-Earth 101, and they play oldies. You know you're getting old when on the oldies station, they play these bands that, like Guns N' Roses, and you go, oh my God, like what happened there? I remember being a kid and Guns N' Roses hitting the streets of L.A., and I was like, wow, man, this is some stuff. Metallica. Oh, wow. Now they're playing that on the oldie station. It's like, oh, my God, what the heck? I guess we're not going to be playing Jersey Boys, right? But then I'm listening, because I want to remember my youth, and it really wasn't that good, trust me. And they play a commercial by Homeland Security Department head Kristi Noem. They couldn't run her out of South Dakota quick enough, that little dog-killing human being. And she put out in this commercial, wait for it, she says, I'm going to read verbatim the commercial. Thank you, President Donald J. Trump, for securing our border and putting America first. President Trump has a clear message. If you are here illegally, we will find you and deport you. If you come here and break our laws. All right? Now, breaking our laws, would that be something like hiding national security documents and secrets in a bathroom in Mar-a-Lago? I don't know. Don't know many immigrants doing that one, but I guess that's because it's a rich white guy. He gets a pass on that. And then, at the end of her commercial, she says, and we will hunt you down. All right, there's some nice rhetoric. And the Department of Homeland Security, even in this era of we're going to cut budgets, we're going to be austere, they are spending tens of millions of dollars on this nationwide campaign. And it is going to hit social media, it's going to hit radio, it's going to hit TV. And to me, it started yesterday, It seems like a hell of a coincidence that this is happening as the economy is tanking, as the stock market is cratering, as eggs are about as rare as morality in the Trump administration. Sorry, bourbon's coming back up. And they run this ad, which is red meat for their base. And I get it, but therein lies the rub. Therein lies the rub. They're running ads in Los Angeles for illegal aliens. They're not targeting the ad to the illegal aliens because they're already here. They're already here. They're targeting it for voters. What it tells you is they're still sensitive about public polling, about public opinion. And Chuck Schumer, goddammit, doesn't get it. That idiot doesn't get it. Trump understands it. Even now, even though he can't run again, public opinion matters if he wants to move forward his agenda. And Chuck complied. Chuck complied. Chuck gave in. Chuck waved the white flag. And you know what? All I got to say is, you know what? F you, Chuck Schumer. F you, Chuck Schumer. All right. That's the end of our podcast for today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I appreciate it. I know your time's valuable. It means a lot to me that you do listen. I love you all. Like I say, don't be sad. Be glad that we're in this together, and we're going to win. I promise you, we're going to win. All right, if you could, hit that like and subscribe button and leave some comments, and I promise I'll see you tomorrow.